Hey guys, welcome back to the Max Invest YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a couple of things that happened over the past couple of days. I'll be discussing the Bitfinex hack, a new partnership Chainlink has had, and a couple of cool things about Ethereum. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, the links are down in the description below, and remember, nothing in this video is financial advice. Also, I've added timestamps to the video, so if you want to flick ahead in the video to see certain times, you can do so. Also, before we get into the video, a quick shout out to some of my Twitter followers, Patrick and Crocus. Now, the first thing that I did want to talk about is the Bitfinex hack. Essentially, back in 2016, a major cryptocurrency exchange called Bitfinex was hacked. A hacker basically gained access to the exchange and they authorized 2,000 unapproved transactions, which meant they could steal 120,000 Bitcoin, which was worth $72 million at the time. As we can see, when this hack occurred, the market tanked by 40%, which is a pretty big tank, and it shows how small Bitcoin was back in the day. The next step is quite unclear and nobody really knows what occurred. However, it's highly likely that the hacker decided to sell the Bitcoin over the counter to another individual. They would have probably done this for a huge discount, such as sell $70 million worth of Bitcoin for $7 million. I'm just making these numbers up and we're not 100% sure just yet what occurred. However, the reason a hacker would actually decide to sell the Bitcoin as the next step is because it's simply too hard to get this Bitcoin off chain without the FBI finding the hacker and sending him to jail. After this, Bitfinex decided to socialize the platform's losses by cutting 36% off everyone's Bitcoin holdings. It's also important to remember that back in 2016, the only coin that existed was really Bitcoin. Of course, XRP and Ethereum were just coming out, however Bitcoin was the main one, and this was the one that was hacked. Bitfinex also said that they're going to give everyone their own exchange token, which is called Leo. Now, Leo has done basically nothing in the past few years, however it immediately started pumping when the Bitfinex news was recently uncovered. Essentially, this Bitcoin was just getting slowly moved around on-chain for the past 6 or so years. Nothing really happened with this Bitcoin, and the FBI was tracking every single move. However, as of recent, the DOJ announced that they had recovered the $3.6 billion worth of Bitcoin. Yes, that's right, this Bitcoin appreciated from $72 million to $3.6 billion as of a couple of days ago. Basically, what happened is the individuals that bought the Bitcoin off the hackers decided that they were going to bring their Bitcoin from the blockchain into the real world. Of course, everything on the blockchain is completely traceable and trackable. This means that the FBI were watching their every move, and the second they decided to get this money into the real world, the FBI could track down their location and their name. Now, this is where the story gets unbelievably peculiar. The two people that the FBI found who had the private keys to the Bitcoin were called Ilya Lichtenstein and Heather Morgan. Heather Morgan is essentially a business person who has started a few relatively successful businesses. However, on the side, she's an extremely bad rapper. It's quite funny looking at some of their TikToks and their rapping videos, as they are unbelievably bad, and it makes you question why these individuals actually decided to try and get a hold of the Bitcoin and wash the Bitcoin. A few more important details to note is they actually decided to get the Bitcoin out in New York City. They didn't move to another country to do this, and they also had the private keys of the Bitcoin stored on a computer. So they had private keys to $3.6 billion worth of Bitcoin stored on a computer, which is absolutely insane. It makes no sense to me. I store my small amount of crypto on a hardware wallet, so it does seem quite insane to actually see this. Another funny aspect of the story is that an individual from BitGo was also discussing cybercrimes with the person who stole all of the Bitcoin, which seems very ironic, and it was a funny tweet to uncover. So that's essentially what happened in the Bitfinex hack. That's all of the news to date, and these individuals will probably be going to jail for a life sentence. As we do know, a big problem in the crypto space is the technology is very early right now. And when the technology is quite early, you can see bugs in smart contracts and you can see large hacks. Of course, Bitfinex was a crypto exchange back in 2016, and in 2016 we're talking very, very early. I don't believe any big exchanges would be hacked today. I think Coinbase, Binance and FTX are all pretty safe. However, there are still smart contract risks with a lot of the protocols that are around right now. As we can see, Optimism, which is an Ethereum-based layer 2, has launched a bug bounty. This essentially means that if an individual or a technology-focused individual can find a bug in Optimism's code, Optimism will pay them $2 million, and Optimism will then go off and patch this bug. I actually do think that this is quite a good strategy from Optimism, as it means that people can come out, they can help Optimism and make sure it's a very secure protocol by finding bugs for it, and they can earn a very, very large reward for doing so. Of course, if Optimism had a major bug and some hacker found this bug, well, they could steal a lot more than $2 million. However, as we've already seen, they probably wouldn't be able to get the $2 million off-chain without being arrested. Now, the next big bit of news I want to talk about is surrounding Chainlink. Essentially, Chainlink have partnered with OAG Aviation in order to power a smart contract-powered air freight insurance index. This index is going to be on the official Nasdaq Global Index Service platform, and it's going to be a very big and well-known one, which will be powered purely by the blockchain, which is great to see. Of course, this is going to add a lot of fundamental value to Chainlink, and it shows that Chainlink is out here solving real-world problems. So let's take a look at how this actually works. The first thing to discuss is the problems that the index is trying to solve. Essentially, it's going to try and make the supply chain a lot more transparent. As we can see, the vision behind the index is to provide anybody, anywhere, with an informative and balanced snapshot of the supply chain sector's real-time performance. I do think that this is a really good idea, and it will hold the supply chain a little bit more accountable. Of course, we do know that last year there were a bunch of big issues in the supply chain, such as the Suez Canal boat accident and a bunch of other things that slowed the economy down to a halt. If the supply chain is going to be monitored frequently, we might be able to catch these issues before they actually occur, and I do think that transparency is a great thing for the future. Another interesting thing to point out is that OAG have said that blockchain is everywhere. They have said it's difficult to find useful information because of all of the meme and altcoins. However, they are using crypto for a good real-world use case, and I do think that this use of Chainlink is going to be very healthy for the blockchain industry as a whole. So now we need to know how the index will actually work, because I haven't fully explained it just yet. Essentially, from my understanding of the index, OAG Aviation has access to a bunch of flight data. So what OAG Aviation are going to be doing is they're going to be putting all of this flight data on chain. When they put all of their flight data on chain, they're going to be basically contributing to this flight index. Moreover, a bunch of different aviation companies will also put their flight data on chain. What this is going to do is it's going to develop their air freight index that anyone anywhere around the world can actually look at to see all of the disruptions. This enables another really cool use case. All of the flight companies that are carrying big amounts of cargo around the world will actually be able to use this flight index, and they'll be able to use this flight index for insurance products. So they're actually going to be able to use smart contract enabled insurance to react to the data on this flight index and make good outcomes for them with insurance, which is very, very great. So this has a lot of use cases in the flight world, and I do expect this to go very big and very mainstream. All that's basically happening here is the big company OAG is putting their flight data on chain. This data is being put into a fully transparent index that anybody can follow and watch, and other flight companies will be able to make insurance products out of this index using smart contracts. This is amazing, it adds a lot of fundamental value to Chainlink, and overall I am very excited for this. Now the final bit of news that I wanted to talk about in this video is FTX has now just enabled support for Arbitrum. This basically means that you can withdraw your assets directly from FTX to Ethereum's layer 2 scaling solution, which is Arbitrum. FTX is one of the biggest exchanges around right now, and this is absolutely massive. Now, the reason that this news is so good is because a lot of people commonly criticize Ethereum layer 2s, and the reason they do this is they say you need to bridge your assets from Ethereum's layer 1 to the Ethereum layer 2, which will cost lots of money. However, this does not need to happen. A user can just buy crypto on a centralized exchange and bridge straight over to the layer 2. Of course, I think that this is going to mean Arbitrum will continue to get adopted more and more, and we'll see more great dApps on Arbitrum. I do actually want to make a video about all of the cool things you can do on Arbitrum, and hopefully this video will be up sometime next week because I am very excited about Arbitrum. Arbitrum is now doing about 100,000 transactions per day, which shows that it's growing and improving, which is great to see. Anyway, this brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, and thanks for watching the video.